When we think of the famous engineers who built Britain's roads and bridges, we tend to think of Thomas Telford or John McAdam. Anyone who has studied history in a British school will have heard of them. There was another great builder of roads who started long before them. He was less famous and less prolific, but he was a remarkable man. His name was John Metcalfe, and he was known as Blind Jack Metcalfe of Knaresborough. John Metcalfe was born in Knaresborough, a beautiful market town in North Yorkshire, England. He was born on the 15th of August 1717. This statue was unveiled in Knaresborough Town Square in 2009. It's unusual, isn't it? Well, he was an unusual man. A remarkable man. John was born into a poor family. His father was a horse breeder. When he was 6 years old, he caught smallpox, one of the most feared diseases of the time. As a result, he lost his sight and was blind for the rest of his life. His family paid for him to have fiddle or violin lessons as a way for him to earn a living in later life. He became pretty good, and it earned him a living in his early adult years. John was also good with horses, probably helped by his father's occupation, and he also started trading horses. Despite being blind, he was extremely active. He loved swimming, not so popular in those days, and naturally riding and hunting. On one occasion, two men fell off the high bridge in Knaresborough into the River Nid. John dived again and again to rescue them. When he was 20, in 1737, John Metcalfe met Dorothy Benson, the daughter of a pub landlord. A year later, he made another woman pregnant and had to leave the area for a while. When he heard that Dorothy was to be married to another man, he returned and they eloped so that they could get married in secret. They stayed together for the rest of Dorothy's life and had 4 children. His fiddle playing gave him social connections and a patron, Colonel Liddell, a member of Parliament. In 1739, they were both in London, and the Colonel and Metcalfe had a bet of 10 guineas, over £1,000 in today's money, as to who could travel the 207 miles, or 333 kilometres, from London to Knaresborough and arrive first. John on foot, the Colonel in his coach. John took 5.5 days and arrived first despite his blindness and getting lost twice, the appalling state of the roads having slowed the Colonel and his coach down. This is thought to have inspired blind John Metcalfe, popularly known as Blind Jack Metcalfe, to start building roads. In the 1700s, Britain's roads were in a terrible state. Railways had not yet been invented, and travelling by stagecoach was uncomfortable, dangerous and slow. A journey between Leeds and York, about 20 miles or 30 kilometres, could take 8 hours in bad weather. In this period, Metcalfe was also working as a carrier, having bought a 4-wheeled chaise, a kind of light wagon, on local trips. This developed into a transport business that included freight and stagecoaches. He regularly drove himself. Again, one has to wonder how a blind man was able to do this. In 1765, Parliament passed a law creating turnpike trusts to build toll roads around the country. There were few people with road building experience in Knaresborough area, and Metcalfe seized the opportunity, building on his practical experience as a carrier. He won a contract to build a 3-mile, 5-kilometre section of road between Nimskip and Ferrisby on the road from Harrogate to Borough Bridge. He explored the section of the countryside alone and worked out the most practical route. Metcalfe went on to build 180 miles or 290 kilometres of roads in Lancashire, Derbyshire, Cheshire and, of course, Yorkshire, including roads between Knaresborough and Wetherby, between Wakefield and Huddersfield, between Bury and Blackburn, Skipton and Burnley, and many, many others. Some of these roads crossed the Pennines, not an easy territory to build roads on. Metcalfe believed that a good road should have good foundations, be well drained, and have a smooth, convex surface to allow rainwater to drain quickly into ditches at the side. He understood the importance of good drainage, knowing that it was rain that caused most problems. He worked out a way to build roads across bogs or marshes. Previously, roads would divert around these obstacles. Instead, he used a series of rafts made of heather and gorse, tied in bundles as foundations, and built the roads over the top. It established his reputation as a road builder because other engineers believed it was impossible. This method perhaps inspired George Stephenson 100 years later, almost 100 years later, when he built the first intercity railway between Liverpool and Manchester and had to cross an area of boggy ground just outside Liverpool. Some people might ask the question, how is this possible for a blind man to build roads, to drive wagons, and so on, to walk from London to Knaresborough? There are people who might say, well, the story just cannot be true, but there are many records which confirm what I've said here. Others might say, well, maybe he was only partially blind. We have to bear in mind that it's incredible how people can overcome certain disabilities. Think about how Beethoven composed music when he was deaf. People said that John Metcalfe was able to visualize things very effectively, visualize in his mind's eye, as Shakespeare would have said. However, we will never know. Whatever the truth, by the time Blind Jack died in 1810 at the age of 93, he had become a legend in the area, much beloved for his colourful personality, sense of humour, and great deeds. Blind Jack's story is a testament to an extraordinary, resilient human being with the spirit and ability to overcome adversity. What a guy. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please click like and subscribe. And when you subscribe, you'll get news of the next video coming soon. Bye for now.